Welcome to Hardcover Feedback. I'm Jennifer Billingsley.
And I'm Chris Rettig.
And we are reading Uprooted by Naomi Novik. Agnieszka's village is right on the border of the Wood, a place full of terrible magic and beasts. Her village's only line of defense against these horrors is the wizard known as the Dragon, but his protection comes at a price. Every 10 years, the dragon selects a girl to keep in his tower, isolated from all she knows and loves, until the next girl is chosen. The blurb on the back of this book would have you believe that it is just another Beauty and the Beast retelling, but that barely scratches the surface of Uprooted.
He turned and came back to look at Kasia, still with that pleased look on his face. And then he frowned again and turned his head and looked straight at me. I'd forgotten myself and taken Kasia's hand after all. I was squeezing the life out of it, and she was squeezing back. She quickly let go, and I tucked my hands together in front of me instead, hot color in my cheeks, afraid. He only narrowed his eyes at me some more. And then he raised his hand, and in his fingers, a tiny ball of blue-white flame took shape. She didn't mean anything, Kasia said. Brave, 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 the way I hadn't been for her. Her voice was trembling, but audible, while I shook, rabbit-terrified, staring at the ball. Please, my lord. Silence, girl, the dragon said, and held his hand out towards me. Take it. What? I said, more bewildered than if he'd flung it into my face. Don't stand there like a cretin, he said. Take it. My hand was shaking so when I raised it that I couldn't help but brush against his fingers as I tried to pluck the ball from them, though I hated to. His skin felt feverish hot. But the ball of flame was cool as a marble, and it didn't hurt me at all to touch. Startled with relief, I held it between my fingers, staring at it. He looked at me with an expression of annoyance. Well, he said ungraciously, you then, I suppose.
So this is the most classically fantasy book that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. It definitely has the roots in fairy tales that the other books we're talking about have, but it's definitely like a fantasy novel.
Yes.
Set in a fantasy world.
With a lot of magic. So if fantasy and magic are not your thing.
Maybe this is not the book. But it's also, I think it's a good intro to fantasy because you're not a huge fantasy reader, whereas I'm like an addict. So it works if you're a fan of the genre, but it also works if it's not usually your cup of tea, I'd say. Mm-hmm. The main character, Agnieszka, is amazing. She is really funny and practical and self-aware, and the basis of the plot for the very beginning of it is that so the dragon picks a girl every 10 years, and they know which year he's gonna cull his chosen victim person from. And so everybody's been assuming that it's going to be her best friend for their entire lives, and so she's been groomed for it.
Right, Kasia even her own family has just accepted the fact that Kasia is going to be the one that's going to be taken. So they've taught her all of the skills, and they're prepared for that.
She's resigned to her fate, but gracefully, because that's the kind of person that Kasia is. And then Agnieszka gets chosen, and she's just very unprepared for life at that point. Because
she's very much a tomboy. She can't ever stay clean
for some reason. She spends like the entire book like covered in like egg whites and flour and dirt and just like dust, like perpetually dirty. She's like Pigpen, if Pigpen was starring.
And she gets taken away like that. And the new life in the tower with the dragon starts immediately.
Yeah, she's grabbed that day.
So then it's a lot of, no one really knows what happens to these girls when they get taken. They come back and they're set up very well. After 10 years, they get money, and they almost always leave the town. They don't stick around. So no one's quite clear what happens, and she is there alone. It's just her and the dragon.
Yeah. And the dragon is another fabulous character. He is so cranky. And we both decided that our fan casting for him would be Benedict Cumberbatch.
Absolutely.
That's who we would like to play him in the adaptation of the dragon. Just like cranky, disdainful, very snarky all the time. The snark really does never end for this character.
No.
But he's also, it's based, the snark and the disappointment is based in brilliance. Like he's fighting, essentially the character of the dragon is fighting a losing battle against the Wood. And the Wood is such a fabulous, like, setting
People often say that the setting is another character. In this case, it is another character.
It has rage and
it can plan.
It's sentient woods, and it's deeply horrifying.
Yes. What it can do to you is very, very bad.
It's got great moments of creepiness. And also, I think the pacing is really interesting in this book because it grabs you so quickly. And what we spoiled in the beginning is literally just the first like 15, 20 pages of the book. So it grabs you, and then it holds you. Like, that's the minimum amount of suspension you can expect in this book. It holds at that level, and then when it needs to, it ratchets it up. So you're just, by the end of this book, you are reading so furiously and so mad that anybody is interrupting you.
It's not an up, down, it's more like an up and up again,
Yeah.
and up again. Just when you think the story can't go somewhere else, it goes in a completely different direction.
Don't pick it up if you have things like tests or like personal things that you need to get done within the next couple days.
However, having said that, there are moments of not so much quiet, but moments that develop the characters more. There is a slight romance going on here. It's certainly not a major element in the story.
It's just a piece of it.
Yes, and it's so beautifully wrapped in the magic that they do that it becomes all of one thing.
And as a fantasy fan, the magic system in this is really, really creative. So the author writes, her other large work is a series of fantasy historic fiction novels. And that's really the only thing that I had that would knock off points in this book for me, was the fact that I wanted more, and she didn't give me more by the end of it. I felt like the end of it, while very satisfying while you're reading it, if you go back and think about it, you're like, but I want more. And I wanted to get to know I thought that the best friend character was underdeveloped. I wanted to know more about her. Stuff happens that I was like, but tell me that. I want another book. So this could have been easily split into 2 books, and I would have been more than happy to read it.
But I love that she's in the story at all. She's not just the girl who was supposed to be
totally.
chosen and gets tossed aside. She plays an integral part in this story.
She does, and their friendship plays an the main character is allowed to have a close female.
Right. It's not Beauty and the Beast.
No,
it's
where
Beauty and the
she's
Beast and her best friend.
Yes, it is. Oh my God, that's the best. Especially because you can break it to Beauty and the Beast BFF. I like it. I love it. I love it. So in conclusion, I would give this out of 4 stars. I would give it a solid 3, almost 3.5. But I just want more, and that's maybe we'll eventually get a second book in the world, and then I'd make it a 4-star book.
I'm going with a solid 4.
A solid 4.
Yes, because not being a fantasy fanatic, I was impressed that it did catch my attention. It kept my attention. I was reading through it so fast that when I got to the end, I didn't really understand what happened, and I had to go back and reread it. I was just like, what's going on? And part of that can be a slog for people who are not familiar with fantasy and worlds being built around them. But I think just overall the tone and the pacing
and the character development.
Characters, there's just so much. It's got all of those elements that go into making a great story.
So, thank you for watching Hardcover Feedback. This week we read Naomi Novik's Uprooted. If you are interested in any of the books that we read, please check out your local public library.